Welcome to Buckets. My name's Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. This is your best bets episode for the NBA playoffs for what day is it? It is a Thursday, April 23rd for the association. We'll give you sides, props, and totals to bet the NBA playoff slate on Thursday, 3-game slate. Should be a great one, but we're also going to talk in depth on NBA futures now that we're 2 games in on most of the series heading into Wednesday night. Is being recorded on Wednesday afternoon. To do so, I've got with me NBA futures analyst Brandon Anderson. Some say he is the quickest draw in the CLV West. So ROI West. Fiddle is CLV. You are ROI. Everything we talk about today can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You get up-to-the-second information where the bets and money are coming in on. Later, we'll show you some pro tools that are going to have signals for you. You also get access to our projections built through Roto Grinders, all sorts of great stuff for the props and onsides and totals, and all sorts of cool stuff. And you can check it out at actionnetwork.com/pro. Use code POD20, and you get $20 off Action Pro. You also get Brandon Anderson's futures the second he logs them before they get obliterated into non-existence. Brandon, we thought after Sunday, we're like, well, sometimes the first round's just no good. It's just, we just got a bunch of blowouts and there's just no chance here. And well, that take has aged like milk, as long with my ROI. As the New York Knicks go to 1-1 versus the Hawks since last we talked, the Houston Rockets are down 0-2. Trying to think of the other series. What happened last night? The Portland Trail Blazers and San Antonio Spurs are 1-1. And the Philadelphia 76ers are 1-1 with the Boston Celtics, along with the Nuggets and Wolves being 1-1. What's your reaction to these upsets?
Yeah, it's not been the nights of basketball we thought we were watching the last 2 nights. We thought we were just kind of coasting through the first round. I think we thought we'd get a lot of like in 4s and 5s, and suddenly, the old series doesn't start until the road team wins the game. Well, the playoffs have begun. We have started in earnest now because we've got a lot of these series that's like, all right, well, Boston, Philly, Spurs, Blazers, I wasn't really giving you a ton of attention necessarily, but we're going to have to at this point. At 1-1, you have to say, okay, what does this look like going forward? And, of course, above and beyond all that, the Wemby injury, I think, is the big story too, and has to be, the lead story as you think about that series and just big picture going forward. So, yeah, certainly from when you and I last convened with Jim Turvey Sunday night until now Wednesday afternoon as we record, very different picture in a few days.
Yeah, real quickly on Wembanyama, because we're going to do a little bit of an exercise on how damaging these are. I'll just kind of say, in concussion protocol, based off of what I've heard from not just one, but a few people last night, I don't think we're going to see him until much later in the series. That doesn't mean that they won't get out of the series quicker. They can win the next 3 versus the Blazers. The Spurs are good enough without Wemby to do so. But if you're trying to bet this based off of, well, I think Wembanyama can be back by X, I think you should target game 6 as a safe date. He could be back earlier. I'm not in the medical room. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you that if I were you, I would be cautious about projecting anything before a return in game 6 is how I would view that.
Yeah, that would be my expectation too. We didn't even talk about this beforehand, but based on the Spurs thinking big picture, long term with Wemby and always being cautious so far with him, I think that will factor in. And I think too, just mentally, you're tied 1-1. You like your guys to go get the road win in Portland. If you do in game 3, then you have less incentive to rush Wemby back for game 4 because you're already up 2-1. Like, until they are trailing in the series, I don't think they necessarily feel real pressure. And even then, they might still choose to be cautious. This year is a bonus. And I know like that's easy to say. And like, no, you go win the title when you can. But this core has a lot of years together to come. And you don't screw around and risk Wemby if there's any risk at all. And again, we don't know that. We don't know what the risk is or what that looks like medically. But I have also in my head, game 6 is kind of where I would expect him potentially to come back. But I do think the calculus changes at least a little bit based on how the series is looking, which makes that one pretty hard to price. I think to me, a big takeaway with a lot of these 1-1 series is that it also is more likely now, pretty strongly likely in a few of them, that we're looking at 2-2 series. And suddenly now, if that's the case, you have a best of three, and the NBA is still a variance. It's still a make or miss league. So if you have a best of three, even if you're the much better team, you can lose that one. And the Spurs can be the better team. They might even be a better team without Wemby. But if it gets 2-2 back to San Antonio, and if you're still missing Wemby for a game or two in there, suddenly the Blazers are alive, not just to extend, but actually to win the series. And we'll talk through how live are some of these teams to actually win the series.
Okay, so this is Brandon's idea for kind of our table setter today, which is what game 2 loss was most damaging to the teams. And you want to look at this from a futures perspective, not just for this series, but moving forward as well, which I think is the right way to look at it if we look at the from a market perspective also. So I am curious to you, which I just realized I have mine in reverse order.
Okay,
which
good.
one?
I wondered that.
yeah. Which one to you is least damaging?
Yeah, so my least damaging is the Celtics. This is just the same old Boston. This is shot variance. This is Boston takes a ton of threes. In some games, they're going to miss a bunch. The opponent's going to hit a bunch, and that's what we saw. And furthermore, not only is it not really affecting my opinion of the Celtics, it's still the Sixers, who are still probably the worst team in the East version of the playoffs. And they're not even necessarily losing a real rest advantage because the Knicks lost the game also. So there's not even necessarily an immediate consequence. I still have Boston very strongly the most likely of these 5 teams to win the series. I have them about 90% still to win the series, over 75% to win it in 6 or less. So this is just the Celtics. They screwed around. They give a game away. This is kind of what they do.
You don't think Philadelphia did anything well in that game?
Yeah, I mean, sure, they did, but I'm reducing because we're talking about 5 series and then 3 games to come. I thought Philadelphia did some good things. I'm even more concerned now about Boston's center rotation. VJ Edgecombe, who we talked about, I said wasn't good enough in game 1, was awesome in game 2. Certainly, there are things Philadelphia did better. Most among them, I said after game 1, I forget the numbers, Philadelphia attempted about as many threes as Boston made. And I said, if that holds up, we're drawing dead. This series is cooked. And that gap in 3-point attempts totally disappeared in this game until late when Boston was getting desperate. So I don't actually know the answer to, is that a schematic thing? Did Nurse take them away? Did they switch and start shooting more threes? Did Boston's defense get lazy? I don't have a good answer to that. But certainly Philadelphia did do some things. I just had the gap so big between these teams that I'm mostly unmoved by it compared to the other options.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. It was shot variance. Like I'm not gonna deny that it was shot variance. The problem I think that we have to kind of reconcile with is this team as good as is this Boston team as good as last year's team? No, I think we can definitively say it's not because like they had Drew Holiday and they had theoretically Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford, right? More veterans, right? Luke Cornett. Okay, they're definitely not as good as 2 years ago when they won the title. And so one of the things I think that is problematic here is Boston taking 50 out of 89 shots from 3 to me was actually bad. Like that's a bad thing for me. Is that Boston needs to like one of the things I was impressed with Boston this year is that Joe had them pulling back from that threes. That's all that matters. Threes. They were actually a little more balanced this year. They were like 3rd in 3-point rate. Warriors were 1st. And you need a little bit of balance here because if you just keep playing the variance game, it happened to them in that Knicks series. They got bit. So it's like, yes, do I think the Celtics win the series? I do. But I'm like a little concerned here. If you're going to start playing, trusting the variance, I think is dangerous. You're a more talented team than the Sixers. You have more like higher quality players. You have more athleticism. You have more size with Embiid out. I'm a little bit worried about them leaving the door open here by playing too much to this version of themselves versus working a little bit more in pick and roll. I'm going to go back and watch today and see if Nurse was just like, hey, what if we jam the pick and roll and we make this into a variance series? Because if I'm Philly, that's what I want to do is like, let's do it. Like we're the underdog. We know we're without Joel Embiid. I can't play you one. I can't play you straight up. I need to turn this into a variance series. And I'm just a little bit concerned about that angle from a series perspective, but I'm not necessarily like, ooh, let's get in on the Sixers more.
Yeah, I'm not concerned with that. I just that's the Celtics. I've just accepted that like that is the version of the team we're getting, and probably fair to say that as you've been in the weeds more than I have on these games throughout the season. Okay, maybe that wasn't the Celtics anymore. To me, this is still just the Celtics. This is the version that they've been for years now, and I've accepted that the threes math is going to be the threes math. They did take 16 in the fourth quarter as they're kind of gunning from behind and then kind of adding in some of the just Max Shulga threes at the end of the game. But yeah, again, they shot really well on twos for the game. I'm with you. I'd prefer to like play a little bit more floor and a little bit less variance on here. This is just what Boston has been now in the playoffs for several years. So I agree with all the stuff that you said. I'm just kind of accepting that that's what Boston is. So I'm not really moved by it because this is just what they do and what they've been. And, it doesn't change my opinion on them that much because it's kind of what my opinion was already.
Okay. And look, to your credit, I did all of this work and paid attention for 6 months, and mostly it hasn't mattered at all. So, joke's on me. All right. Next up is for you. I have the Celtics as the least damaging too, just because the talent should win out over the course of the series. Like, obviously, anytime you lose game 2, it's going to increase the odds of the series going long. But I'm also kind of the mindset of just like, all right, I am not as concerned long term about these as I am some of the other series. Who's number 2?
Let's go with your next one because mine is similar.
Okay. My next one is the Knicks. I am pretty concerned here. So Mike Brown, I think, is a better coach than Tom Thibodeau, but Mike Brown has done some inexplicable things. Locked On Knicks has talked about they're playing these lineups without shooting. So it's Mitchell Robinson and 4 non-shooters or 2 non-shooters, which doesn't make any sense. They're having Mitch Robinson play at the level in these small ball lineups. That doesn't make any sense. They're not playing Towns with 4 shooters and non-Brunson. They're playing minutes without Brunson and Towns. That makes no sense. Like, this was a screw around type of game where it's like you did stuff that is obviously like you can't afford to do this. And the big factor for me with the Hawks is, one, I was like, is CJ McCollum really going to beat them? And it's me. CJ's like, yes, yes, I am. But the bigger factor to me, and we'll get back to this in best bets, is it's Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga has found lanes and space and opportunity. And as much as I was like, oh, Jalen Johnson's not a factor in the series, to be honest with you, I skipped over Kuminga because I never can tell if he's going to be in the rotation. No coach seems to like or trust him, but he's getting minutes now and he's making it work and it's paying off for him. So I'm a little bit concerned about New York because they don't look like themselves because Brown is not playing into those strengths that I thought they would have in the series.
Yeah, I had the Knicks in the middle of my rankings here. You can't be the team that wins late if you don't win late in these games. Like, they're starting to build a habit of not just the late wins, but the late losses and the comeback losses as well. And I think they're leaving the door cracked for Atlanta when this series probably should have been over, but I didn't ever think it was over. Like, to me, I can't be super moved by this because I thought this was a pretty coin flippy series for the most part coming in. I still thought that after game 1. I still think that after game 2. And I'm curious with the Kuminga thing. I know we'll talk about him with your best bet, and I considered it as well. Atlanta, the Knicks bench has been so bad at home, and now you go on the road where benches usually get worse. Atlanta's bench hasn't been great other than Kuminga, but can they get more of that at home? Can the shots fall better at home? Those are the things that usually flip, and now it's 1-1 instead of 0-2. And I think Atlanta is very much live in the series. I think the series goes deep. That's the thing I thought before the series started. So I'm not going to be, I don't know, my prior on this series hasn't shifted much after game 1 or 2 because this is mostly, I thought these would be close games. They've been close games.
As is Brandon's want that Jim Timber and I give him crap about, Brandon is unmoved by anything that he doesn't consider fake. We'll get to that series here in a little bit. Who is your...
By the way, I have the Knicks at 58% in the series. Most likely outcome now is Knicks in 7. about equally likely Knicks in 5 or 6. Hawks in 6 is now my second most likely outcome at 22%, 26% Knicks in 7.
God, if the Knicks get locked out in the first round, oh my God. Okay. So who's your second least damaging team then?
So yeah, the Knicks were your second least. They were my third least. My second least damaging is the Rockets. And here's the reason. I just gave this team up for dead after game 1. Like I already was like, all right, this is a fraud. Şengün, I've seen this now in 2 playoffs. This dude, like, I don't know what is happening with all the advanced metrics to make it look good, but when these games actually matter, he's like short arming, bunny hook shots in the lane and losing out on rebounds. And look, the Lakers could still lose the series because the Lakers have a bunch of scrubs playing with LeBron James, and they could lose the series, but I no longer think the Rockets can win the series. I think that they're going to have the Lakers give them the series. And after game 1, we had all the numbers of Houston offensive rebounds and 7,000 more shots and all the turnovers. And oh, boy, they lost anyways. Isn't that crazy? It's not crazy anymore because it happened again in game 2 and it happened in all the other games and it happened all season and they still lose all the games anyway. This is what the Rockets are and we just need to accept it. So to me, it can't be the most damaging because you can't damage something already broken. And I thought this series was already irrelevant anyways. Just get this series out of here. Put OKC into the Western Conference Finals. You wanted to tack this series the preview as like 5 minutes on to one of our other ones because there was so little to say. I was wrong. You were right. We should have said less than 5 minutes. This series is a waste of our time.
I want to note, I wish I had pulled the clip of Brandon and his take on this series from our series preview of how confident he was in Houston, because he's labeling this as it was irrelevant and never mattered. And he did think it was irrelevant and didn't matter, but he also thought the Rockets were going to smash the Lakers into itty bitty smithereens. This is one I will take a little bit of a lap on. I was like, my take was the Rockets are going to screw this up.
You did.
Here we are. As somebody who hates offensive rebounds and their impact on playoff series, this has been extremely validating. because my whole thing on Houston.
You're right. I'll say your point for you because I know it. You were right. Your whole point is offensive rebounds don't matter if you don't do crap with them afterwards. And they're getting offensive rebounds. They ain't making shots anyways because Şengün belongs in the junior leagues.
Yeah, there's my one playoff series that I had some value on. I can't believe Kevin Durant's meltdown. I just can't. I mean, I should believe it. The stat here that's shocking. I said this on Locked On NBA this morning. They didn't believe me. I had to walk them through it. Kevin Durant has not won a playoff game since 2023.
Yeah, 7 in a row.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It has been 3 calendar years, nearly a month, 2 years and 11 months since Kevin Durant won a playoff game.
Yeah.
That is...
The big stat with Durant to me is the turnovers. 9 turnovers in that game last night. And this was with Udoka. The last time in the playoffs was against Udoka. And the Lakers just kept sending doubles at Durant. And you and me and Raheem Palmer, our old colleague, have talked for years about, does Durant elevate his teammates? Can he be the engine? And I think this is showing. Like, the Rockets didn't have an engine in game 1, and we were like, wow, Durant must be the MVP. He's back. This is great. Their offense is saved. Turns out, no, because Durant's not the engine either. He cannot get his own shots like some of the other elite shot getters are, and he can't necessarily create for others because suddenly Smart's coming at him. Suddenly Luke Kennard is on the double or something, like something crazy. And 9 turnovers for Kevin Durant is unacceptable, but it's not new. This is what teams have done to him when there isn't that Russell Westbrook or Steph Curry or some other option to handle. And that's a big problem because if Durant can't do it and Almond's not ready yet, and it sure as heck isn't Şengün or anyone else, and Fred VanVleet ain't walking through that door this series, they're out of options. So here's the crazy thing for me. This series is still being priced relatively close to a coin flip. The Lakers are only slight favorites because they're up 2-0 at home. That's what the home team is supposed to do, ostensibly. I don't make this anything close to a coin flip anymore. And I hate it, Matt. I hate it because I never bet this series before the series. I didn't give out any series bet. It's the first time, I think, in Bucket's history that I've declined to make a series bet. And I think I have to make a bet now because I have the Rockets down to 24%, mostly because I give them almost no shot. This fraud team road game 7 against LeBron at home? No way. Plus, less Durant likely the longer we go, and more Luka Reeves likely the longer we go at this point. No way are they winning a game 7, which means they got to win the next 4, which they could, because I don't really think the Lakers are that good. But winning 4 in a row is hard. I give the Rockets 24% chance. I have Lakers in 7 actually is pretty high, but I have this just over 50-50 to go 2-2 back to LA because Houston's going to be the clear favorite the next 2 games because they're still not Luke Kennard and DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart. They're still not those guys.
What's some respect for those guys' names?
I think I have to bet the Lakers. Do I have to bet the Lakers?
I think so. I think so. So I've only got 56%. Marcus Smart, by the way, 25.7 rebounds, 5 assists game 2, 8-13. I got a lot of respect for him. I got a lot of respect for Marcus Smart. Also, just JJ Redick. This is what I thought JJ Redick was going to be capable of. It's why last year was so shocking in his first playoff run, where he was just like playing the starters the entire second half, and like a lot of that was like trying to prove the point of I don't have any depth. But full roster, he has done a marvelous job in this series.
He's been great. He's been as great as Ime Udoka has been terrible. And my take for the Rockets is actually that maybe the best thing for them is to like lose in 5 and move on from Udoka and maybe move on from Şengün. This version of the team, this coached version of the team, but even just the way the roster is built, I don't see how this is going to work for them.
They're gonna run it back because they're gonna be like Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams got hurt. They're gonna use those excuses,
which will help, which will certainly help. But
yeah,
it's
all right. Your third one is the Knicks. We already talked about them. My third one is the Spurs. The Wembanyama injury is the only reason that this is higher for me. Where it's just like, look, Wembanyama being out and losing game 2 when you had it means kind of like, okay, there's a window here for Portland. If Portland surges in game 3 to force at least 6, the longer the series goes, that's in favor, I think, of uncertainty. And uncertainty values Portland. Certainty values San Antonio. Uncertainty values the Blazers. And so I just think it's moderately damaging with Wembanyama being out. He was so good in game 1. They lose game 2 without him. Scoot Henderson's playing out of his mind right now. They're going back where the home teams, the shooters are going to shoot better. That's a huge advantage if the Blazers can get some shots to fall. So like I said, like, I think the Blazers can actually do some stuff here, and I don't know what to do about that because of the Wemby injury, about whether I was right or not. But I do think it was pretty damaging in terms of and especially long term. If you're at least going 5 now, if the Blazers win 1 more, you're at least going 6. Even with the Nuggets and Wolves going long, this means that you're going long and then going to face a really good team no matter who comes out of that other series, while OKC is just breezing along. It's damaging to their chances of being in the shape that they need for the Western Conference Finals. So Spurs are third for me.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I think you're underrating it, though. This is my number 1 pick. This is the most damaging loss to me, and it's maybe prisoner of the moment because we don't know yet what the Wemby injury is going to represent. Here are my fears, and I am like a worst case scenario person, so I'll admit that. I think we probably know this about me by now if you're listening to this. I think the Wemby injury can honestly derail their entire playoffs because this series is their one shot to ramp up before you're playing a finals against the Nuggets and then another finals against the Thunder and then the actual finals after that. This was their one shot. We talked in our preview about the physicality and the minutes ramp up and getting used to the style of the playoffs. I haven't been that impressed with the Spurs these first 2 games. I haven't loved what I've seen from their offense or their process. This has not looked like a juggernaut team so far. And now they don't get this kind of free trial run, if you will, against the Blazers. And instead, it seems like we said at the top, most likely best case scenario is Wemby there comes back game 6 or 7, or maybe they don't need him for that. And now he's coming back fresh off the injury into a Denver series. That is high level basketball to be suddenly coming back to. And I think the combination, not only that of Wemby missing out, and look, again, neither of us are doctors. How much does this linger at all? Does the concussion protocol stuff linger? Does it mean now we have to reduce his minutes? Now we're keeping him at 28 and not playing 34 or 36. We don't know But as a bettor, I have to be afraid of that possibility. That's a very real possibility. Spurs have been very cautious with guys, and right to do so. We don't know if his minutes will be repressed. Will he miss another game at some point because he took another hit? There's like all the other knock-on effects are more prominent now and more likely. And I have to assume that those are at least in play. And compounding all of that, the other team we didn't talk about yet is Denver. Denver was my number one on this question with a bullet because of how they screwed around and gave a game away. And it set up the Spurs to have this huge rest advantage on the Nuggets. Now they're not going to have that anymore. And there's even a possibility, Matt, it could go the other way. The Nuggets could actually take care of the Wolves and the Spurs could come in as the less rested team. That is very much a possibility now. And the rust team as well, because Wemby rust plus no rest, they gave away what had been for one day looking like this really big advantage. I have this now more than almost a coin flip to be 2-2 heading back to San Antonio in game 5. And I have Spurs still heavily favored to win the series, because here's the thing. The one thing you said I disagree with, going long is better. The series going long is better for the Blazers because it's variance. It gives them a shot. I agree. But the longer it goes, now the more Wemby is playing again in all likelihood. And it's still game 7 with Wemby in San Antonio, where the Spurs are awesome at home and the Blazers have been terrible on the road. I still don't give them much shot in a game 7, but I have Spurs 82% to win the series. 46% of that is Spurs in 7 now. And we know all the numbers about you get to 7 and that starts to add up over the series. And you were not supposed to go to 7 before the Nuggets and the Thunder. That is not the version. So I think this is one of those war of attrition battles that, unfortunately, the concussion protocol, unless it turns out to be very light, I think it's reminding me, Matt, of I think was it the 2016 Warriors when Steph had the ankle or whatever injury and missed a game or two and came back and kind of ramped up and had the I'm back. Was that the year with the 2016 year that I'm remembering?
Yeah.
And like he came back, but all that attrition added up. Like all that attrition suddenly put them down 3-1 to the Thunder in the Western Finals, suddenly put them behind the 8 ball, up 3-1 when they clearly just ran out of gas at the end, and other circumstances as well, obviously, for that. But
like LeBron,
it feels like this is that big first battle of attrition, and the Spurs, this version, hasn't faced that yet, and I'm very worried for them at this point.
I have the Nuggets second on the most damaging, well, along with you. I'm with you on that they're going to go 7. I think they're going 7. I actually picked Nuggets in 7 on Locked On Nuggets. They're going to go 7. Next round's going to go 7, and they're not going to have anything left versus OKC. Like whoever wins is just like not going to have anything left. Denver also may not get out of the series because, Nikola Jokic, his history of game 2s is horrific. He was terrible in 2020 in game 2 versus the Jazz. He was terrible in 2020 versus the Clippers in game 2. He was terrible in game 2 versus the Warriors in 2023 or 2022. He was terrible. He was pretty good. He was good in 2023 when they went to the finals. He was good in all the game 2s. Except for Miami. He was bad in Miami in game 2 or versus Miami in game 2. 2024, he was bad in the Wolves game 2. 2025, he was bad versus the Clippers in game 2, and then he was bad versus the Thunder in game 2 because everybody got killed in that game because they won game 1. He just has a bunch of bad games, and he was overthinking stuff in that game, and it was really evident that Rudy's got him in his head, and that's surprising considering the success that he's had before. But it's also just like I hated his pregame body language. Like I was like, what is going on? Like what is happening? Joker usually like sprints out for pregame layups with Christian Brown chasing him and like is all like having fun and like excited to be there. And he just kind of came out and was just like standing around with his hands on his hips. And I was like, what's going on? So I don't know, but he was not good in that game. We'll see what happens. We'll get to that when we do best bets. Anything else that you want to hit at on most least damaging? I think you talked about all 5 series.
Yeah, I think you basically said what we thought about Nuggets. Like the Aaron Gordon's not healthy. Too much screw around factor in long series with them, but that's a thing we've talked about. I think the Wemby injury can be a reprieve for Denver because of what it's going to cost San Antonio, even if it's just an extra 3 days or something, to be able to kind of like that game that the Spurs gave away is effectively gives the Nuggets a free win to kind of come back around and take hold of this series because they've been the better team in the series. Why don't you put the graphic up of our series odds? So you have the Nuggets. Okay, we're relatively close on the Nuggets. I'm a little bit higher on them than you are.
For the folks on audio, we'll go
Sure.
through it. Nugget. What we did was we have projected odds based off our various systems. So Celtics 90 for Brandon. I've got them at 60%. If you remember from the pre-series, I was higher on Sixers and was like, I think the Sixers actually have a chance here. I'm still at 60% for Boston though.
You should be betting Philadelphia then. Are you going to bet the Sixers in the series?
I know.
40%. You got to bet them. If I have to bet the Lakers,
I know.
You have to bet the Sixers.
I know, but I'm gonna feel so dumb. I'm gonna feel so dumb when it's a reverse when they get 3-0'd here. But yes, I will probably bet the Sixers.
All right, keep going.
You've got Spurs 82. I've got Spurs 80. I will note that when I adjust for no Wemby, this drops to Blazers favored because I have Wembanyama worth 6 points to the spread. So this changes dramatically. I don't have a number for, well, what if he doesn't play in game 2 and 3, but he does play in games 5 and 6?
Right.
I haven't done that yet. If I could probably get that for tomorrow and we can talk about it.
So mine is attempting to guess for that. Mine is assuming no game 3 and then kind of slowly ramping up odds of him playing after that. And I still
you have it like 95% if Wemby comes back for game 3.
I mean, probably not quite that high, but I would have been very confident. It would have probably been 90-ish, similar to the Celtics. Yeah.
Nuggets, Brandon has them 69%. I only have Nuggets 59% because just like losing game 1 was pretty devastating and the spread value has been good on Minnesota. I feel confident in the Nuggets winning the series, but when losing game 2 and especially in the way that they did, I think is really damaging. Brandon has Knicks 58%. I only have Knicks 53%. If you remember, my numbers were like, oh, Atlanta's great. And I was like, no. And then they lost game 2 because the Knicks lived to plague my existence. Brandon's at Rockets 24% to win the series. And I'm only slightly higher at 26% to win the series.
Oh, you're betting the Lakers with me. Family power. Let's go.
Let's go. Lake Show.
Here's my question for you, Matt. Can the Rockets go to LA and win a game 7?
No.
I don't think so either. I'm giving them literally like a 15 or 20% chance of winning that particular game if it got there. So I think actually, if we want to get really tricky, I think the Rockets only out is Rockets in 6, which is actually going to be like priced really high because it's a 4-game parlay. They have to win the next 4 to do that. I think they could. I don't think the Lakers are invincible enough to not lose 4 in a row. It's only one other road game for the Lakers or home game for the Lakers. So I think actually, Matt, we might be able to bet Lakers and Rockets in 6 and just be like, well, Rockets in 7, take our money. We didn't think that was going to happen. Otherwise, we're covered in every other outcome. And we're going to get a terrible number combining those. But as long as we just bet the no on Rockets in 7, basically. Maybe at the prediction market, we can just literally bet that.
Yeah, I can look that up as well. Okay, let's get to best bets because you have a movie to catch for the 3rd time. Amaze. So let's get the best bets. Brandon, let's start with Knicks at Hawks. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the graphic that I've got built for. Actually, that's a lie. You start talking, and I will fill in with a graphic based off.
My 3-star play for the day is on this game. It is the Gilles Gallant special. Josh Hart over 12.5 rebounds and assists, -106 at FanDuel. The dude is just filling it up. We know this Josh Hart by now. I don't know why the books haven't adjusted this number yet. 15 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists in game 2, 11 to 14 and 5 in game 1. And it's not fluky. 19 rebounding chances, both games, only trailing Jokic both games. He's getting the rebound chances. He's got the energy to get the rebounds. He's getting the potential assists. He got 6 assists on 10 potentials. And look, the Knicks, you talked about this. Their bench is terrible right now. They cannot get guys out there. Clarkson, Shamet, Alvarado, and Deuce combined for 7 points in 43 minutes on 3 of 13 shooting. These dudes cannot get on the court, and now they're going on the road on top of it. Mitchell Robinson, -10 in 18 minutes. None of the other guys even played over 13 minutes. All that means Hart plays, and if Hart plays, he produces. 34 playoff games with the Knicks. 30 of them he's played at least 25 minutes because he got hurt or was off the bench in a couple. So at least those games of 30 times, 25 minutes or better, he's averaging 10 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 14.3 RA. Obviously, I'll help you with the math there. So I think this line is probably, I would honestly make it at least 2 high, or certainly at least 1 low. So over 12.5 rebounds and assists. We already cashed our double-digit rebounds on game 2 at plus 300. I'm going to go rebounds and assists escalator here. So 16 of those 30 hard games, he's at least 15. 15 rebounds and assists is plus 215 at FanDuel. And let's take it all the way to the top. 18 is plus 550 at DraftKings. 20 RA is 12-1 at FanDuel. 22 is 19-1 at DraftKings. He does have, in 30 playoff games, 9 times with 20 rebounds and assists. That's a 30% hit rate on that one. We're getting 12-1, which off the top of my head is like 4% or something, just way off on the numbers that he's getting. So Josh Hart, do the thing. We know the thing. It's the Jill Gallant special.
Okay, I want to pull this up. This is from our pro report. If you sign into Action Network and sign for Action Pro, you get these odds that you can find. So Knicks plus 1.5, where this is, we're tracking sharp money on the Hawks. Tickets and money, 58% of the tickets, 72% of the money is on the Knicks, but we're tracking action the opposite way, holding this down. So this is being held in by sharp bettors that are loving the Hawks here in the game 3 spot. Game 3 is always a great spot for that home team. In 1-1 series, it's always a little bit different than the 2-0s, but look, this is obviously the game that I would most expect the Hawks to win. So kind of interesting that the public loves the Knicks and the sharps are betting the Hawks here. There is, by the way, plus 1.5 on both sides of this. So it's very split in the market, which makes sense given 0 is not really a number in the NBA anymore, or in really any sport. So my best bet is going to be a prop, and total, by the way, 216.5 on that. My best bet on this is going to be a prop, and it's going to be Dyson Daniels under 21.5 PRA. So I understand if you're thinking, okay, you guys have talked about role players playing better at home. Dyson Daniels is a role player, and role players shoot better at home. Dyson Daniels could be in his native land where he was born, in the place where he was born, in the very spot of his home of creation, where
Australia.
where he was conceived, and he would not shoot better. Dyson Daniels can't shoot. That is not going to matter. But the bigger thing here is Jonathan Kuminga. So if you look at a good example of this is the Hawks in their minutes with Dyson Daniels on the floor have been absolutely horrific, and they are way better with him off the court. Coaches aren't necessarily going to make overreactions based off of plus minus data, especially not for like 2 games. But what I do think is if you are looking at lineup construction and you're trying to figure out how you're going to put these minutes together, like if you're trying to figure out what are the lineups that we need to get to, one of the things that's very evident is like, they're like, well, we're just going to we don't have bigs, so we're just going to play a bunch of forwards. We're going to play like a bunch of forwards in the series that can attack the Knicks, because the Knicks actually backcourt is undersized, and they've been able to kind of have a lot of success there. Kuminga is plus 1.6 when he plays, minus 13.3. Dyson is minus 10.7 when he plays, plus 5.6 when he's off the floor in this series. He's played 62 minutes. Kuminga's played 62 minutes. What that tells you is, like, from game 1, game 2, we were seeing a transition from more Kuminga minutes and fewer Dyson Daniels minutes. I'm not saying that Dyson is unplayable in this series, but I do think his role is going to be reduced as Kuminga takes more of those minutes, along with Alvarado, but versus Alvarado, I think you actually want to not try and combat him with some of the minutes that they've gotten from other guys. I like this spot a lot and Dyson Daniels under 21.5 PRA. Thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, this one I was excited to see on the rundown because I almost came in the other direction on this one, but I think I'm just going to end up being a stay away on this. So last time we did this one for game 2, Dyson was my top play on the over rebounds and assists, and the dude sold us down the river. He had 2 assists on 9 potentials and 2 rebounds on 9 possible rebounds. Dude, do some stuff. But he was not good in that game. He was terrible in that game. You could see mentally He was getting into scuffles. He was in foul trouble. He couldn't get consistent minutes, and he was not good on the court. So the question is, which one is real? Game 1, when he looked like he was important, and honestly, regular season against the Knicks, when he looked like he could be on the court. Is Game 2 an anomaly, or is it Kuminga? Because I had in my notes, I had this as a possible over 11.5 rebounds and assists, possible 1-star, but is Kuminga stealing the minutes? That's what I wrote down. And I honestly, Matt, I don't know. I don't trust Dyson to play, but I don't trust Kuminga to play either. This could very easily just go right back the other direction. So I'm just going to watch this version in Game 3 and maybe try it again later in the series. I can't endorse your play because I don't believe in these players, Dyson or Kuminga, enough to feel confident, but I also can't endorse my own play for the same reason. So I'm going to sit this one out.
On switches, Dyson has gotten cooked by Karl-Anthony Towns. Towns is 3 of 3. Guarding Jalen Brunson, which is his primary assignment, Brunson is 4 of 6 in this series. Mikal Bridges, 1 of 2. Miles McBride, 1 of 2. Dyson's been cooked in this series so far. So if he's not going to provide defensive upside, why is he there? That's going to be the bet for Dyson Daniels PRA under for this game. Okay, let's go to the next game and let's talk about, oh God, Cavs Raptors. What's your best bet?
This is a 1-star play for me. I'm going to take the Raptors first half line. They are plus 1.5 on the first half line. Make sure to shop around. That one's at Bet365. They're actually favored at some books already, and that's because of what you said. This is the auto spot for us. Down 0-2, coming home in Game 3. So let me just start with the trends, because that's where this started for me. I was not looking to invest on the Raptors, I'll tell you that much. Home teams, down 0-2, just the first half line, 93, 51, and 2 against the spread, 65% cover rate. And home teams in Game 3 coming off a road loss over 5 points, just the first half. Doesn't matter what happened in Game 1, just the first half is 112, 65, and 6 against the spread, 63% from BetLabs. I'm sure lots of overlap between those two stats, but either way, this is the zigzag, right? This is the yo-yo effect of no matter how bad we thought you looked in Games 1 and 2, what happens coming home Game 3? Notable, not the whole game for me, Matt. I know you're going to make a case otherwise, but the trends are not a whole game trend anymore. The books have priced in on the whole game. They're starting to price it in on the half as well, which is why I think this is moving. But zooming out to beyond the trend, Game 1 and Game 2 I thought were very similar in these, kind of a slow Cavs start, and then they pulled away, but never quite put it away. Raptors, both games, low 3-point volume. They just missed them all in Game 2. Their free throw edge disappeared. Here's the reason for hope for Toronto, though, to me. 64 to 52 points in the paint in Game 2 in favor of Toronto. That was the highest rim rate allowed by the Cleveland Cavaliers all season long. Almost half of the shots they gave up. And Brandon Ingram, horrifying in this game. Other Raptors, not named Brandon Ingram, 33 of 45 on twos, 73% on twos against Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. What are you doing, Cleveland defense? Toronto also 16-2 on fast break points, which that should be even better at home where your role players play better. Maybe Quickly is back and you're probably facing this sort of fattened up Cavs team that is feeling good about themselves up 2-0. So you're going to make the case for the full game. I don't mind the full game. I think that this is a good spot for them as well. I'll play just the first half on the trends. Raptors first half plus 1.5.
Like you're going to make the case for the full game. Am I going to do that because it's my best bet? Am I going to do that? It's a 1-star for me on the Raptors money line on this game because I bet games 1 and 2 on Toronto, and I'm just like, fine, I will just keep betting them, and that is the hell that I'm trapped in. I'm like watching that game and just being like, I really bet on Brandon Ingram to be a playoff riser. Like that's the thing I did was like, oh, Brandon Ingram's going to have a better game too. And they gave him the ball more after he whined and bitched in after game 1, and he sucked the entire life out of that game. We'll get back to Brandon Ingram in a second. I need Quickly here. I need him very badly. I need Quickly very badly in this game. The trends, you kind of mentioned this, that they're actually not very good for teams that are in this spot as a game. Like when you're at Game 3 and it's 0-2 and you're specifically for the 5 seed. That was the thing I want to look at was like, okay, how do 5 seeds do? And it turns out that like 5 seeds are actually like a little bit worse than some of the other teams, which makes sense because the other ones there's like a wider differential in the power rating. So after you get killed in games 1 and 2, it's like an even bigger adjustment. I need quickly here. I just think with the way that the Raptors made it, one of the things I think is promising for the Raptors is game 2 is a defensive game. It was an underplay. I did give that out on the Action Network and then the Action Network app on a write up for best bets. I gave out the under, and I think that it's going to be. I think the Raptors are finding more solutions defensively to Cleveland, which is good, but they're going to have to put the little ball into the round thing with the net attached, and I don't know if they can do that with Emmanuel quickly. I don't know if they can do that. Brandon Ingram. RJ Barrett continues to validate me, though. He's good. RJ Barrett's good. You tweeted at me. What? RJ Barrett's been great in the series. Why are you doing that? Why are you killing me on that?
RJ Barrett was very good in game 2. I'm going to give you credit for it. 22, 9, and 5, 4 offensive rebounds. And look, I brought up the stat about attacking at the rim and points in the paint. That's RJ Barrett basketball. That's the thing that he does well. They need more of that.
Yeah. I have another play on this, which is I like Deem Wade over 5.5 RA. And the reason is Danny Cunningham, who writes a great Substack called The Inside Shot. He's also the host of Locked On Cavs, a friend of mine. Danny has a write-up on what Deem Wade has done to Brandon Ingram specifically. And they have schemed with Wade, particularly to basically absorb is a better word, absorb the space that Ingram wants to take up. So Ingram is very predictable. He doesn't want to take threes, and he doesn't want to get to the rim. He just wants to dribble, and then take pull-up jumpers. That's all he wants to do. And so Wade is playing him with a fronting style, denying him the ball, and then on the catch, immediately jumping to these spots that Ingram wants to get to. He's not playing it as if, like, you could do anything. Wade's like, I know exactly what, like, I don't care. If you want to go right, go right. Do that. I don't care. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to where I know you want to get to. So the key here is that Jalen Tyson has really struggled. And if Tyson is not going to be on the floor, they need a defender, a wing defender in particular. And Wade's been that guy, but he's not going to get points opportunities. He's just not going to generate those kind of shots. So I want that 5.5 RA to be able to get home. He has gone over this in both of his games in this series. So I like Deem Wade over 5.5 RA as the primary defender on Brandon Ingram.
How many stars was that one for you?
That's a 2-star.
All right. I like it.
Okay. Let's go to the last game. Denver Nuggets and Minnesota Timberwolves. We're going to be oppo on this. Give me your 2-star play.
2 stars. Denver Nuggets to cover the spread. -1.5 on FanDuel. Look, Denver, we're kind of going opposite here of where we were at coming into the series, I think a little bit. Denver blew game 2. We talked about it, up 19 in the second quarter. They had the series on lock, and they've done this before. In this series against the Timberwolves, they had a series on lock and then given it away. Suddenly, one terrible 6-minute stretch where the Wolves scored, I think, 10 straight possessions in the second quarter, and then a bad close. Now it's 1-1. Everything is open. But we have 2 games of data, and the Denver Nuggets have been the clearly better team for all but like 10 minutes of the data that we have. And I think that matters. Jokic is not going to get dominated again by Rudy and Randall. He's just too good for that to happen. As a lot of people have pointed out, rightfully so, I think no cat in this particular series does matter over time. And Jokic has got to come out and cook some of these non-Gobert minutes where he's kind of was passive in game 2. And I just, to me, this is a spot where I expect the better team and the team with championship mentality to come out and feel embarrassed after what they did in game 2 and respond accordingly. Now, Minnesota should get a better whistle at home. Probably. They need it. They should get more from their bench, probably, but the bench was actually really good in game 2. And I do think the extra day of rest is big here. Murray played 43 minutes in game 2. Jokic went 40 as well. That's like you go for the kill and you miss. So I don't love that for a team that's on like a 6.5-man rotation already, but they did get 2 days off. And then here's the trend. Road favorites in the playoffs after a loss by more than 3 points. So you lost, but you're still favored on the road, barely, for Denver. 23, 9-1 against the spread. 72% cover rate by 6.5 points a game. I'm just trusting the team that I think is the better team, trusting them to respond after an embarrassing loss. Nuggets -1.5.
Okay, my 3-star play is on the Minnesota Timberwolves on the money line in this game. Yours is a stronger trend. Mine is the Nuggets are 4-5 straight up after losing game 2. That is with Nikola Jokic. That is their history. I think personally, having watched so many of these Nuggets series, I don't think they're going to lose. I do think it's going 7. And the reason is because you lose game 2, you had a chance to put this thing, like you could have, you win game 2 and it's like, all right, the Wolves are going to kill you in game 3. Who cares? It's all game 4. And now it's game 4, but it's the other way. It's the Wolves are going to kill you in game 3, but you better win game 4. Otherwise you're down 3-1. And the Nuggets can still, I think, win that series if they're down 3-1. I will be forced to bet them if they go down 3-1. But I don't trust them in these spots where it's like, you better fight back. Otherwise you're in trouble. They don't fight back then. They fight back when they're in trouble. They don't wait until they don't get ahead of it. They're not like, man, can't go down 2-1. They're like, no, we can go down 2-1. That's fine. 2019 Portland, they lose game 3 in a quadruple overtime game. Everyone says they're dead. They come back and they win game 4. Round before that, San Antonio, they lose game 3, come back, win game 4. You go back to a lot of these spots. Phoenix is the only series that's gone 2-2-2. That's the only series they've really followed script as far as that goes. I think Denver absolutely gets one of these next 2 games, but I do not think it is this one. I think this is the Wolves just won. They just the Randall small ball stuff. One of the biggest problems in this series, and it's annoying, Joker won't adjust his rotation. He wants to play the entire first quarter, sit for 4 minutes, and then come back in. They need him to switch it up because they need to be able to counter. The Wolves loaded up at the beginning of the second and the fourth. They weren't just like, hey, we're gonna play Ant with Naz Reid. They were like, we're gonna play Ant with Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid, and we're gonna load up and kill you in these non-Jokic minutes. And then when Jokic gets back in, we're gonna play small ball and space you with Randall. And now you don't know how to guard Anthony Edwards because you don't know what pick and roll coverage to play versus Julius Randle. It's trouble. It's bad. I think the Wolves are actually, I'm going to play alts. I think the Wolves are actually going to smash them, Brandon. I think I think this could be a double-digit Wolves win. Okay. I have a prop. Real quickly, I know you got to run. Naz Reid, under 1.5 3-pointers made. If you're listening and you're like, Matt, you've been playing the corner 3-point shooters versus Denver all year, and this is a role player at home. Love Dante DiVincenzo. We'll probably play that. We'll play Jaden McDaniels. Naz is in the same spot Michael Porter Jr. was last year. Not the same injury, but it's similar. He is having to have his jersey helped off of him in the locker room by assistants. That's meaningful. I do not have any info on the shot that we talked about last year, the injection that Michael Porter Jr. was getting. I don't have any of that information with Naz Reid, but I do know that Naz is not healthy, and especially his shoulder is off, and that's making it very hard for him to be able to do that. They're also running a lot of pick and roll with Naz as the ball handler and putting him in different spots to attack. I asked Chris Finch about it before one of the games. They want to get Naz downhill. So I don't think Naz is going to be spotting up as much in the series. I will play the under on 1.5 threes at a plus number.
Yeah, that makes sense. Naz has certainly not looked stable out there.
You have a prop here too.
Yeah, I'm going to play Nikola Jokic over 26.5 rebounds and assists. That's a 2-star play for me, and I kind of made the case a bit already. I don't need to tell you too much about why Jokic is awesome. He is going to, I think, attack the backup bigs here. He's going to do much better than he did against Rudy and Randall, and the numbers have been awesome so far. 24, 15, and 8, obviously in game 2. The rebounding chances, 26 rebounding chances, 25 in game 1, just monster numbers. Nobody else is coming close to that in the NBA right now. So I'm projecting him at 15 plus rebounds on around that many chances. And then the potential assists are there, 20 and 21, the 2 games. That should mean around 10 to 12 assists as well. Triple double minus 114 at DraftKings, I think, is also playable. I like this better. I'm wondering actually if I have the number wrong here. I'm projecting him at 26.5. I think the line might actually be like 23.5. I have to double check that on rebounds and assists, but I like the rebound and assist over for Jokic. And then on the escalator, I don't necessarily need to include the assists in the escalator just because it's hard to rack up a huge number of those, but I am expecting Joker to be able to get possibly a big rebounding game or 3 or 7 in this postseason. So I'm going to play 16 rebounds at plus 230 at FanDuel. He's had 15 or more rebounds, 9 of 26 playoff games, 35% the last 2 years. We bet 17 in any game before this playoff started. I think this might be a game where we cash. Don't love it if it's a blowout, obviously, but I don't think this is a blowout. So I'll play 20 rebounds at 7-1. He did that twice each of the last 2 playoffs as well. So Joker, rebounds and assists, and then just rebounds on the escalator.
24 plus is minus 115 to DK. So you could probably shop around and get that somewhere close to 23.5 that Brandon mentioned.
Okay. Wrote the wrong number. Sorry.
That's going to do it for Buckets. Appreciate you guys being with us. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with more best bets. Make sure to check the every day, Monday through Friday. We got our 5 p.m. Eastern live show giving you more bets for that slate that night, along with news on injuries and more. You can click, if you're at youtube.com, click on the button up there in the top right corner as you're watching, and you can get access to all of our quick slips for this game to follow us, all the bets that Brandon made in this podcast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get buckets.